All right, welcome back. Hope everyone had enough time to get those exercises done. Like I said, the last couple ones have been challenging, and you definitely would either have to have a really good intuition and a really good guess, or have to do a little bit of exploring in the documentation after you figured out what the right idea was after completing some of the previous ones. So I'm just going to walk through some of those, or all of those solutions. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we head over to the queries folder, we have, I'm going to do the side-by-side thing. So I'm going to open up, I'm going to start with the post. So I'll open that up, and then I'll open up post.js. So come here, and then post.js. Okay, so if we start with these tests, this test says author is required and must be like an ID type. So if I go look at the post schema, there's no author here, and it's definitely not an ID type, so I need to do that. So I'm going to make an author. I'm going to give it a type of mongoose.schema.types.object_ID. I'm going to make it required. And there we go. So that's should be all that this is testing for. So if we run the test, we'll see if this passed or not. And if not, we'll have to figure out what the test is asking for. I got to go back into my program. There we go. So the command, the testing command for this is going to be yarn tests exercises queries test. Cool, so it looks like I got one of them passing. So if I go look at that, it was author is required and ID type. So that satisfied that one. I'm gonna put this on watch. There we go. So we'll go to the next one, which is author must reference author collection. So I even put the name ref as a tip of what to do. So if you go back to that author field that you made, it needs to reference an author collection. So to do that, you go back to the author field and you put ref, and you put the name of the collection. And the way you would get the name is if I went to go look at the author file, author.js, the name of the collection is going to be right here. In this case, it's just author. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to say author. And that's going to be the name of the collection that it's referencing. So if I look here, it looks like I got 2 tests passing. So we'll just scroll up to verify. And yep, author must ref author collection. So that one's good. Any questions on the post model? Was everyone able to get those to pass? Okay. Awesome. So now we're going to move over to the queries. And I'll open those up. Okay, so these were kind of fun, maybe kind of annoying depending on how you thought about it, but I think it made you think a little bit. So post by title. What you can do here is, there's no wrong way. There's no one way to really do this. There's so many ways you can do a lot of these queries. So I'm just going to just do it the way that I've already solved it. But so for the post by title, it's pretty simple. We just want to do a quick filter on the query parameters that we're passing in, right? So you can see that it's expecting, oops, let me get the test up over here on this one. There we go. So post by title, get post by title. So it looks like it's expecting one post and not many posts. So I'm gonna go roll with that. And if it expects many posts, then I'll change the query. So we want to be able to just say post dot find one. And then I'm just going to pass in the title as the only parameter, and I'll do a .exec just to make sure. So I'm going to run that. Looks like we got 3 tests passing. Scroll up to verify, and get post by title was definitely, that was it. So we passed that one. Anybody do that one differently? No, that was pretty straightforward. Posts for author. So this one looks like it's plural. So down here, test get post by an author. Okay, and this it looks like it's taking an author ID. So I'll just return post dot find one by the field author, and its value is author ID. Remember, author is just an ID. Only when we call populate is it an object. So we can just match the IDs here. So this should find that one.
It was posts plurals.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
post. There we go. Sorry about that. So it's going to be post.find. So we'll get all of them. So if we go look for past, and get post by author works. So that one works. We'll go to the next one, which looks like it's post by content length. This one gets a little more challenging. Who completed this one? Got 3. Okay. Very curious to how you would have done it. So I'm going to walk through mine and I'm going to ask how you might have done it. So post by content length. If we look at the test, it tests find post in between content lengths. So it's going to give you a max and a min, and you should be able to give back any posts who has content length in between that maximum and a minimum. So the way I can do that is if I just return post.find, and then what I want to do is I want to use some of the operators like greater than and less than, and use these arguments, the max content length and min content length. Because if I go look at a post file, the model itself, you can see that there's a content length field on it whose value is a number and it's required. So it always has a content length. So that's the one we want to query on. We want to do the querying on that. If you try to do querying on the content itself and try to do max greater than and less than on that, it won't work because those aren't numbers. Those are strings. So you can't do, Mongo won't do the greater than and equal, the greater than and less than on a string, although JavaScript will do it. So that's probably why if you've done it that way, you probably thought that was going to work, but Mongo won't do it that way. It's only going to do that on numbers. So heading back to the test. So the way I would do this is, one, I want to query on the content length field. And then I want $less than, so anything less than the max content length, because that's the upper bound. And then anything greater than the min content length. And it's not exclusive. So I'm not going to put less than or equals to, which does exist in Mongo, or greater than equals to. I'm not going to make it exclusive. I'm going to cut off there because that's what it seems like the test is going to be doing. And if you did put an E there on either one of them, you probably would have failed. And like, actually, no, not those. So I think I hard-coded it to the exact length that needed to be there, yeah. So that was testing that. So once you got that, you need to do a .exec, and we'll see if that passes or not. So it looks like I got 5 that passed, so let's check it out. And find post in between content lengths passed. So that passed this one, yes.
Did you see how you did the ORs? if it was OR, what would you do?
If it was OR?
Yeah.
If this was OR, then the way you would do this is you would say OR, which like takes an array.
Okay.
Like that,
okay.
yeah. So you do OR like that. Yep. Cool. So the next one is full post by ID. So this one you would really probably have to fail the test a couple times to really understand what it's doing. Maybe you even have to look at the test to understand what it's doing. But basically, if you read the test assertion here, it's like find post by ID and populates everything. That's basically it. So how do you know what to populate? Well, if you go look at a post model, you can see that we need to observe what on here needs to be populated or not. So far, a post just has this author. So we have basically just this author to populate, and that's it. So it's the only thing we have to populate for this test to work. So we'll go back to queries spec and full post by ID. So I'll say return post dot find by ID, pass in the ID, and then I'm gonna use the populate because that's how we populate stuff. And it says it in the hint right here. Find by ID and populates everything. So the thing that I want to populate is going to be the author, and then I'm just going to exec. So I got 6 passing now. So finds post by ID and populates everything. So the next one is selective posts by latest. So if we scroll down to that one, only selects fields given. So what this is saying is it's going to pass you, where is it at? Select. Selective post, by the way. This one is using, oh yeah, all post slim, there we go, yeah. So the name's messed up. So yeah, all post slim. So this one is going to give you fields that it's going to ask you to select from the database. So you could have just cheated this test by just getting everything from the database and then selecting it with JavaScript, and you would have passed the test. But you should let the database handle it. So what you want to do here is, looks like it wants all posts. So I'll just say post dot, oops, posts dot, oh my God, it's autocomplete. Dot find all. So I'll just do a star there. And then I'm going to do a dot select. And select is the method you want to use here. And this object right here, fields to select, is going to be an object that looks something like this. It's going to have a field on it like name -1. That means don't select name. So it's going to have a whole bunch of fields that belong to the post with a number on them. And you can pass that straight to select. And then do your dot exec. So we'll run that. And it looks like I got 7 tests to pass. So we scroll up. That one passed, so only selects fields given.